President Trump has unveiled an ambitious peace plan aimed at resolving the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. The conflict has ravaged the region for years, causing immense suffering and displacement. The estimated cost of rebuilding Ukraine is projected to reach trillions of dollars, a figure that underscores the scale of devastation. This staggering figure has sent shockwaves through European capitals, raising questions about who will bear the brunt of this enormous financial burden. The European Union, already grappling with its own economic challenges, faces a daunting task. The stakes are high. With the potential for a reshaping of the geopolitical landscape, the outcome of this plan could redefine alliances and power dynamics in the region. Trump's plan has ignited a firestorm of debate, with some praising its boldness and others expressing deep skepticism. Critics argue that the plan lacks clarity and feasibility. A successful resolution to the conflict could usher in a new era of stability and cooperation in Eastern Europe, fostering economic growth and regional integration. However, a failure to achieve a lasting peace could have dire consequences, exacerbating tensions and potentially leading to a wider conflict. The region remains a powder keg, with the potential for further escalation. Its success hinges on a delicate balancing act of diplomacy, financial commitment, and a shared vision for a peaceful future. International cooperation and sustained effort will be crucial. The coming months will be crucial in determining whether this ambitious plan can deliver on its promise of peace and prosperity for Ukraine and the wider region. The world watches with bated breath, hoping for a breakthrough. In a surprising turn of events, President Trump engaged in a direct phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin. This conversation, shrouded in secrecy, has fueled speculation about the Trump administration's approach to resolving the Ukraine crisis. Trump, known for his unconventional approach to diplomacy, has repeatedly expressed his desire to improve relations with Russia. Critics, however, have raised concerns about Trump's seemingly conciliatory tone towards the Russian leader. Some fear that Trump may be overly eager to strike a deal with Putin, potentially jeopardizing Ukrainian sovereignty in the process. The lack of transparency surrounding the call has only heightened these concerns, leaving many to wonder about the true nature of the discussions. The outcome of their conversation could have far-reaching consequences, shaping the trajectory of the Ukraine conflict and the broader geopolitical landscape. The Trump administration has announced its intention to initiate peace talks involving U.S. officials, Ukrainian representatives, and Russian diplomats. These proposed negotiations aim to find a diplomatic solution to the ongoing conflict and pave the way for a lasting peace in the region. Supporters of the talks view them as a crucial step towards ending the bloodshed and finding common ground. However, critics have expressed concerns about the timing and potential concessions that might be made during these negotiations. Some fear that Russia may exploit the talks to advance its own interests at the expense of Ukraine's territorial integrity. Others question whether the Trump administration is truly committed to upholding Ukrainian sovereignty. A multitude of challenges lie ahead, including deep mistrust between the parties and conflicting interests. The international community will be watching closely to see if these talks can overcome these obstacles and deliver on the promise of peace. As the international community contemplates a path to peace in Ukraine, the daunting task of rebuilding the war-torn nation looms large. The scale of destruction is unprecedented, and the road to recovery will be long and arduous. The World Bank estimates that the cost of reconstruction could reach a staggering $486 billion, and some experts believe the final figure could soar to over $3 trillion. This financial burden is immense, and it will require a coordinated global effort to address. The Ukrainian economy has been devastated by the ongoing conflict, with infrastructure destroyed, industries crippled, and millions displaced from their homes. The human toll is equally significant, with countless lives disrupted and communities shattered. Rebuilding the country will require a Herculean effort, involving not just financial resources, but also technical expertise and institutional reforms. Engineers, architects, and planners will need to work hand in hand with government officials to restore the nation's infrastructure and economy. The United States, European Union, and other international partners have pledged financial assistance to Ukraine. These commitments are crucial, but the actual disbursement and effective use of these funds will be key to the success of the rebuilding efforts. Some experts have suggested the creation of a dedicated Marshall Plan for Ukraine, mirroring the massive aid program that helped rebuild Europe after World War II. Such a plan would provide not only financial aid, but also strategic guidance and support. The international community faces a moral imperative to help Ukraine rebuild and create a brighter future for its people. This collective effort will not only restore Ukraine, but also reinforce global solidarity and the principles of peace and cooperation. Section 5. Europe's role, Trump's call for shared responsibility. President Trump has been vocal in his assertion that Europe must shoulder a greater share of the financial burden in rebuilding Ukraine. He has repeatedly criticized European nations for not contributing enough to NATO and for relying too heavily on the United States for their security. Some European leaders agree that their countries should increase defense spending and play a more active role in global affairs. However, others bristle at Trump's confrontational approach and his questioning of European commitment to NATO. The debate over European burden sharing has exposed underlying tensions within NATO and raised questions about the future of the alliance. Finding a sustainable balance will be crucial for addressing shared challenges, including the reconstruction of Ukraine and the preservation of European security. Section 6. The Rearmament Bank, an ambitious proposal. In a move that has sparked both intrigue and skepticism, President Trump has floated the idea of creating a rearmament bank to help finance the reconstruction of Ukraine. This proposed institution would provide loans and guarantees to private companies involved in rebuilding Ukrainian infrastructure, industries, and housing. Proponents of the Rearmament Bank argue that it could attract significant private sector investment that would otherwise be hesitant to enter a conflict-ridden country. However, critics question the viability of such an institution and express concerns about its potential risks. They argue that private investors are unlikely to risk their capital in a country facing ongoing instability and potential Russian aggression. The Rearmament Bank remains a largely conceptual idea, and its feasibility and potential impact are still subject to debate. Whether this ambitious proposal gains traction and becomes a reality remains to be seen. Section 7. European Apprehensions. Navigating a complex landscape. European leaders have expressed a mix of apprehension and skepticism towards President Trump's approach to the Ukraine crisis. Their concerns are rooted in the unpredictable nature of Trump's foreign policy decisions and the potential ramifications for European security. While they share the goal of a peaceful resolution and a stable Ukraine, they differ with Trump on the methods and potential concessions involved. The European leaders are particularly wary of any agreements that might undermine the sovereignty of Ukraine or embolden Russian aggression. Some European leaders fear that Trump may be too willing to appease Putin, potentially sacrificing Ukrainian interests for the sake of a deal. This fear is compounded by Trump's previous statements that have appeared to be more conciliatory towards Russia. Additionally, Trump's pronouncements on NATO have created uncertainty and anxiety among European allies. His questioning of NATO's relevance and his demands for increased defense spending have left many European nations feeling uneasy about the future of the alliance. These concerns have led to a degree of mistrust between the United States and its European partners, complicating efforts to forge a united front on Ukraine. The lack of a cohesive strategy has made it difficult to present a strong and unified stance against Russian actions. Navigating this complex landscape will require careful diplomacy and a concerted effort to rebuild trust. Both sides will need to engage in open and honest dialogue to address their differences and find common ground. The United States and its European allies must find common ground on key issues, such as sanctions against Russia, support for Ukraine, and the future of NATO. Only through collaboration and mutual understanding can they hope to achieve lasting peace and stability in the region. Section 8. A new era in international diplomacy. President Trump's approach to the Ukraine crisis, characterized by direct engagement with Vladimir Putin, a focus on financial incentives, and a call for increased European responsibility, represents a significant departure from traditional diplomacy. Whether this approach will be successful in achieving a lasting peace remains to be seen. However, it has undoubtedly shaken up the status quo and introduced new dynamics into international relations. Trump's willingness to engage directly with adversaries, even those accused of human rights abuses and aggression, has sparked debate about the efficacy of traditional diplomatic norms. Some argue that Trump's unconventional methods could open up new avenues for dialogue and conflict resolution. Others contend that they undermine international norms and embolden authoritarian leaders. The long-term consequences of Trump's approach to diplomacy are still unfolding. Section 9, the quest for lasting peace, challenges and opportunities. The quest for a lasting peace in Ukraine faces numerous challenges, including deep mistrust between the parties, conflicting interests, and the potential for spoilers to derail the process. The ongoing conflict has created deep divisions within Ukrainian society and fueled a climate of fear and suspicion. Overcoming these divisions and fostering reconciliation will be essential for building a sustainable peace. The involvement of external actors, particularly Russia, adds another layer of complexity to the peace process. Finding a solution that addresses Russia's security concerns while respecting Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity will require delicate diplomacy and a willingness to compromise. Despite these challenges, there are also opportunities for peace. The international community is largely united in its support for Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity.